Hello, everyone. Jerry Tabatt with you here with another edition of our military community. Got a great interview for you today. Little old city of Callaway, Florida, next to Tyndall Air Force Base, has got a lot going on. They're really involved with the military. Plus, a big event coming up in November we're going to talk about. They got a new park over there, or not new park, but Veterans Park that's being updated and everything. Well, we'll get to all that in just a second, but I want to introduce to my very special guest today, Miss Pamn Henderson, who is the mayor of Callaway. Thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about the growth at Tyndall and the growth in Callaway. But before we get all of that, tell us a little bit about Pamn Henderson.
Okay.
We get to know you.
Okay, Pamn Henderson. Well, I was a military brat for the first 20 years of my life. My daddy was in the Air Force. So just about the time that he retired, I married my high school sweetheart. And he enlisted in the Air Force. So for the next 20 years, I was a military spouse.
Wow.
So I never was actually active duty myself, but I feel like I served for 40 years.
You did be a spouse and be a young person and everything. You know, how did you get into politics?
Well, my daddy and I used to go to the commission meetings, and especially once they started talking about, we're going to have to establish an ad valorem tax in Callaway, which had never been before. So, and they said, well, we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
If you'd been at our meetings, you would know. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to start going to the meetings. And, going to the meetings all the time, and you kind of get involved in things and you see how things are going. And I felt like, they don't always listen to what the citizens want. So when the opportunity came up, I became a commissioner. That was back in 2012. I became a commissioner. That. And then, I served as a Ward 2 commissioner. I was the mayor pro tem. The mayor resigned in 2017, and I automatically became the mayor. And I've run for re-election a couple of times since, which I was fortunate. This last time I had no opponent. So
you are at an opportune time over there. Let's face it, Tyndall, since Michael, is growing rapidly now, and that's causing a load on resources, be it housing, be it schools, be it shopping or things like that. As Tyndall continues to grow, how is Callaway being part of that expansion?
Well, one of the things that we have, like a building boom going on in Callaway.
Yeah.
We currently have 711 single-family homes, 317 townhomes, and 3 large apartment complexes, which will probably provide close to 1,000 units that are either under construction already or they're in the planning stages to be constructed and completed within the next, I would say, probably 3 to 5 years. They'll be built out. So
with all of the new people coming in, let's face it, the housing at Tyndall right now is not available for a lot of people, so they're going to need that. So as these houses are coming online, is there going to be anything special that the city is working with all these developers about? Well, let's give our guys a little break here.
I don't really think so, but okay. I know some of the housing, when they do development orders and stuff, and they will mention that it really is geared toward the military. I know some of the construction that's already been done,
right,
and is filled up. A lot of that is military, so they are thinking of military. I think that's why there are so many apartments going up, because they know not every military member wants to buy a house. Right. And even though rents are high, buying a house is more expensive because you have so much upkeep.
Right. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand is, yes, military people are giving what they call a subsistence allowance for housing, but it doesn't pay. If you say you have a $2,500 a month mortgage payment, you may get $1,500 as part of it. So that leaves you $1,000 that you got to pay. So that all goes into that. Yes. Now, with the housing, it sounds like we're going to have a good deal going with the housing. But as with anything else, we need shopping. What kind of businesses are currently being developed, or what is on the table for possible development to help?
Well, one of the things that we know for certain is going to happen, there is currently a private-public partnership. There's a shopping center in Callaway that was, pretty devastated in the hurricane. And at first, the owner didn't think he was going to be able to rebuild because what it cost to rebuild, he wouldn't be able to recoup through rents. The rents would be too high. So we came up with this public-private partnership where there is a grant from, I think it's the Department of Economic Opportunity, that will go in with him. He will put up his insurance money, which will be spent first. Then the grant will cover the additional cost of renovating that shopping center. And that will provide about 15 new businesses and restaurants that will be going in there. In addition to, there are already 2 businesses in the parts of the shopping center that still were serviceable.
And that's a good deal. I mean, let's face it, people like to shop, they like to eat and things of this nature. Now, one of the things that is really going to be a blow, I guess you say, financially to any city, is with these new businesses coming in, with the new housing and everything, your infrastructure is going to take a hit.
Yes.
How's that affecting you right now? And I know that, with water and sewer and power and that, what's the outlook on that, and how are you going to be able to get it done to support all of this?
Well, as far as utilities, we currently have capacity to support the growth. Roads are always an issue, but, we are working on paving streets. Some of the streets in Callaway, like Tyndall Parkway, Highway 22, which are, 2 major roads in Callaway, those are state highways. So the state will be taking care. I know Highway 22, there is a project in the work plan to 4-lane Highway 22. It's just getting the funding, the state getting the funding to do that. So that will help alleviate.
And that's one of the things, too, is people don't realize that, okay, the state says, we're going to help you out with this. The federal government says, we're going to help you out with this. It doesn't happen overnight. So there's going to be some growing pains involved in that.
Oh, yes.
Is there anything that the city of Callaway itself is doing right now, like they're improving maybe secondary roads or something like that?
Well, one of the things we have been working on for a couple of years is repaving Cherry Street. That's one of the main streets through Callaway. Right. It involves a drainage project, completely redoing the street. We're putting in sidewalks on both sides of the street. We run into some issues with utility lines needing to be moved. We found utility lines that we didn't realize were there. So that has held progress up a little bit, but hopefully that is going to be near completion soon, that we'll be able to actually get started on that project, and that will be a major project. That will help a lot.
Yeah. And I know Tyndall is thankful for everything that you guys are doing, because they're relying very heavily on the cities surrounding them to help with their problems they have right now. And speaking of utilities, power, what's the deal with power? I heard rumors that they may possibly try to run some of it underground to make it a little easier.
Florida Power and Light has been working on that in Callaway for a couple of years now, putting all the line, or as many as they can, putting the lines underground, which will help a lot. In storms and things, if it's underground, it's less vulnerable, say, than those overhead lines.
And I know, as the city, and with Tyndall right next door to you, and them depending on the cities for help with housing and shopping and that, has there been any correspondence between Tyndall or the Department of Defense and the city of Callaway, like, okay, this is what we'd like to see. Can we work together on getting something done, be it personnel-wise, be it building-wise and things of that? Do you work together with Tyndall on that?
We do. I mean, I don't know. I know one thing that's being done. There's a median beautification project that's being done in the median. It's actually at the area where Parker is on one side of the street, Callaway's on the other side of the street. So it's kind of like, that median is sort of shared, but Callaway is going to oversee a project that the government wanted done because they want, the entryway to Tyndall, they want it to look nice.
Sure.
So we're going to be overseeing, that's a grant-funded project, but we're going to be overseeing that.
Good deal.
There are other things, it's, that we, my city manager and I, we're both on the MAC. We're Military Affairs Committee members. Right. He has been an honorary commander at Tyndall. I am currently an honorary commander. So we have a lot of interaction with the leadership at Tyndall. So, we talk and we know they can tell us, what their needs are. We can bring that back to our community and say, this is what they're doing. One of the big things that I know is an issue is childcare, especially 24/7 childcare.
And you read my mind, childcare and education. And that childcare, that's something the Chamber is working on, Military Affairs Committee. What about childcare? Because they don't have, even though they just opened up something new there at Tyndall, that new care center, with the influx of people, they're not going to have the space.
No, and that is one of the things city manager and I have actually met with different organizations, different individuals, to try to come up with some 24/7 childcare, because we know that's a major issue. So we've not had much success yet, but we are working on it. We're constantly looking for somebody and trying to make suggestions and hear suggestions. So we know it's an issue and we're trying.
It seems like there's all kinds of issues all the time out there with this kind of expansion. One of the other things, and I know even in, our state government is concerned about the problem with childcare, but education. Tyndall's got the school, they've refurbished that and everything, but again, we're going to see an influx of students coming in, and they're not going to be able to handle it all. Plus, with the school choice system here in Bay County, what's Tyndall looking forward to? I know Callaway Elementary, you're about full.
It is close, but I have to give them a shout out. One of the things I am so proud of, a few years ago, Callaway Elementary was a D school. They actually, this past year, they are now an A school, and I am so proud of the work that the staff and the students have put in to become an A school. They were the top performer for Bay County for this past school year. So, and that's a good thing.
It is.
Schools attract people to a community, but it is getting close to capacity.
And one good thing, too, our superintendent, Mark McQueen, he's retired Army general. He knows the problems with new students coming in, and they're not all coming in at the start of the school year. They're coming in staggered throughout the year, depending on that. So he's very helpful with that, too. So, again, when a new family comes into Tyndall, that's what they want to know. Where are we going to live? Where are our kids going to go to school? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's a fall off of that also is, with everything being so expensive, again, the misnomer that the government takes care of their people, they only do so much.
That's right.
A lot of the spouses are going to have to work. What is the outlook for jobs now with the businesses coming in? Do you have any estimates, Pam, on the numbers or things, so that if people coming into Tyndall and they evolve and expand into the community, how are they going to be able to support that?
Well, it seems right now that there's a shortage of workers. It seems like everybody's looking for people. I know the city has a problem sometimes finding people. So I think there are going to be opportunities there, depending if it's the type of work that somebody wants to do. But yes, with those businesses coming, I think that's probably going to create quite a few jobs. But I know even some of the existing businesses, they're usually looking for people to work. So I would hope that the spouses would not have a problem. And one good thing, and I know Bay County has really worked on providing programs to let people know you need to hire military spouses. Back in my day, when I was a military spouse, there were so many times that I would interview for a job, and they would say, well, we'd hire you, but we'll get you trained, and then your husband will get orders. I think that mindset is gone away now, and I think people know that military spouses are a good resource.
Exactly, and that brings us into another point on that the jobs and everything are available. A lot of families, especially young families, they can't afford two vehicles for transportation. Is Callaway working or looking at some more expanding transportation so that they'll be able to get around the city and get to these places without having to hire a cab every day?
Well, I'm the chair of the Bay County TPO, which also oversees Bayway, the bus system. And we're always working on looking at where do we need routes so that people can get around. I know more recently it's a program that you can actually use an Uber, if you qualify for, you can use an Uber. So, one of the things to qualify is you don't have any other means of transportation. And then, it gets into economic, which a lot of times for military people, they may meet that, low economic threshold. So that is an option. So anybody that's not sure, they can contact Bayway and find out just what programs they may qualify for that would make it a little bit easier to get around.
Because it's difficult coming in to a new base like this that's just expanding, especially if you're coming from overseas, and to know that these resources are available and the city has opened up their arms to everything they can do, it gives them that feeling of relief, comfort. It takes some of the pressure off of them, so they know things are there for them. Now, with everything going on in the community, we always have to think about our own people that have been here for years. How are they responding to all of this new activity coming in the base building, traffic building, people building? What's the community think about this in general?
Overall, I think the community is very grateful. I mean, I think this old county, when Tyndall was demolished, basically, and there was uncertainty as to whether they would come back, I think everybody was sweating a little bit about what's going to happen if Tyndall doesn't come back. And, the communities on the east side, it would have really impacted Callaway, Parker, Springfield. So I think there was a sigh of relief that Tyndall was coming back. We have so many active duty and retired people that live in Callaway. A lot of them live in Callaway because of the proximity to Tyndall.
Yeah.
So I think overall, we're grateful that Tyndall is coming back. We look forward to the influx of people. The biggest concern that I have heard is traffic.
Yes.
Traffic.
Yes.
We don't need to build these apartments because it's just going to make more traffic. But the way I look at it, because of where Tyndall is, if somebody doesn't live in Callaway and they live someplace else in the county, they're still going to have to travel Tyndall Parkway to get to the base. So there's going to be traffic regardless of where the people live.
And the thing about it, let's face it, and I know you realize that, and Bay County realizes that, if Tyndall wasn't there, a lot of the cities would be in trouble, and the economy in the county would not be that good, because there's a lot of money pumped in, not only from the government, but from the individuals themselves. So,
exactly.
With traffic, if it takes you 15 minutes to get somewhere now, okay, when Tyndall gets built up, give yourself 25 minutes.
Exactly.
And that's the easiest thing to do. Now, with some of the things that are going on in the community, are you looking forward to, say, even maybe bringing Tyndall resources and Callaway resources together and have like community groups that are studying things like this? Is there any interaction expected there, or do you think that's necessary?
Well, I do know, currently the city is reviewing its comprehensive plan, which is that's kind of our establishment of our vision and goals for the future. That we ask for a lot of community involvement. We are doing it in conjunction with the new mission at Tyndall. So Tyndall will have some input into that, I'm sure, as well as our citizens having input into that. So that will kind of be a joint effort there. And like I said, we have a lot of contact with Tyndall. I see you at a lot of the events.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of contact with them. So we get a lot of their input.
Sure.
It might be in a roundabout way, but we do get their input.
But the big thing is that line of communication is wide open, so everybody gets a chance to talk to one another.
Exactly. That's why I think it's so important to participate in the events at Tyndall, which I know some of my sister cities don't always do that, but I feel like it's really important to show that support for Tyndall and to be involved with it.
And we appreciate all that. So it sounds like Callaway is rare to go. You've got things in the works, building-wise, business-wise, education-wise, and I know you'll keep working on that. But we got a couple of other things I want to talk about. First of all, we are so very proud. I'm working with the Veterans Council, and Callaway is the only city in the state of Florida that is hosting this big Vietnam Memorial Wall ceremony. That it's coming into town for 4 days coming in November. It'll be in on November 13th, and it'll be all taken down on November 17th. But the 14th of November is all the opening ceremonies and that. My first question is, Pam, how in the world did a city the size of Callaway get to host the Vietnam Memorial Wall at Heels?
Well, I'm just thrilled. And I came into it a little bit later, really, basically when Callaway had been selected as the site. But my understanding is there were like 3 sites in Bay County that the Veterans Council was looking at to host the wall. Well, it just turned out that our sports complex was the best fit.
Right.
We have the space, we've got the parking. You know, we're willing to make some accommodations. We had to make some accommodations with electrical sources. We're going to have to tear down some fence so that the vehicles can get in and that there is space. The wall will actually be on our soccer fields. So, you know, we have to agree that during the time that the wall is there, we will have no other activities going on. You know, we're not even going to have our commission meeting that would typically fall in that time frame. So
it's so special because one of the names that's on that wall is Chester Clifford Sims.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, we got the nursing home there.
Yes, we do. I did not realize that.
Yes, that was actually named after him. Now, with everything going on, all this activity and everything, of course, this is going to put a strain on activity going back and forth to that. People are going to be concerned about getting in and out of there. One thing, it's going to be open 24/7. So that's something that, you know, we can look forward to. But what are some things that anybody that's watching this interview, what are some things that the city could actually use a little help with city-wise? I mean, you know, we're raising funds through the council, Veterans Council and everything, but everybody we need volunteers, we need money, we need things of that nature. What are some things that you would like to see the city of Callaway, the citizens, do? Because I know you guys, and I have to say, you've opened your arms up to this, and I really appreciate that, and thank you. And so do the veterans appreciate that.
No, the biggest thing, if citizens would volunteer, I know they need people to be there manning things 24/7 since it's open 24/7. So if anybody could volunteer, that would be great. That just takes a few hours of your time. It doesn't really cost anything. If people, if people are able to donate monetarily, that's great. But if you can't do that, just give of your time, give of yourself.
Yeah. And there's actually, there's 23 names from Bay County, 6 from Gulf County on there. All told, the 6 counties here in the Florida Panhandle, there's over 50 names, and people don't realize that. No. And one thing also is the education trailer that's going to be.
Yes.
And that's great, too.
Yes. This is going to be something. It's not going to be just walk in and look at the wall and leave. There are a lot of other opportunities there to learn things.
All right. Well, that's coming in, like I said, November 13th through the 17th, and it's going to be over there on Highway 22 at the recreational complex over there. It's going to be great.
Yes,
so just be patient. We'll get through all that.
Yes, and I still can't believe that little old Callaway.
Yeah, well, and I mean,
place in the state.
And it's more. And how fitting could it be with all the veterans we have living here, with Tyndall rebuilding, with the Navy base rebuilding, the Coast Guard station rebuilding, all of that's coming together. And the other thing is you understand the importance of this Vietnam Wall. But you talk to anybody, say 40 years of age or under, and they look at you and say, what are you talking about? Vietnam, what is that? See, it's not being taught in schools or anything like that. So this is a great education. And thank goodness Mark McQueen, the superintendent, is opening up the schools. If any of those want to schedule tours, they go to our website and just schedule the tours.
He's doing an awesome job as our school superintendent.
He is, and he understands the military that we really need to go through. One of the other things that it just keeps expanding. I remember when it first started out, it was kind of set off in the trees by the bayou a little bit, is your Veterans Park. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize that Callaway is one of the nicest Veterans Parks.
It is a nice park.
And I know you're proud of it. Tell us about it.
Well, a couple things I'm really proud of. Just recently, we had a 9/11 monument. It had been vandalized. It's terrible that people do something like that. But we had a company in Callaway that stepped up and said, we want to help you, redo this. So they did it a little bit, so it's a little less able to be vandalized. But they did a new monument for us. They got it in time for Patriots Day, which was wonderful. Yes. Another thing that I'm really proud of, because this is something that I pushed for basically since I became mayor, is we've recently unveiled our Wall of Honor, which was an opportunity for, anybody to buy a brick to be put on this wall to honor their loved one, their friend, any, their military members that they wanted to honor. And that doesn't have to be somebody that's passed away. It's living or dead. And, I think it's like 227 bricks in our phase 1. We unveiled that on June 28th, and I'm so proud. We got a really good response from the community. And some people said, oh, well, I'm interested in doing that. So we're planning a phase 2. So if anybody is interested in buying a brick for their military member, you can get in touch with the city clerk at our city hall, and she will help you out with filling out a form to buy a brick.
Yeah. And that is what's so great about this Veterans Park over there. Speaking of that, as it continues to grow and more people are visiting it now, parking might be a little issue. What are you doing for parking?
Well, there's not very many parking spots actually there at the park. There is a lot across the street, like an overflow lot. I don't know. At some point, we'll probably either gravel or pave that to make it a little bit easier, and maybe put in like a crosswalk or something for people to get across the street.
And Callaway's so involved in all of this, so really loves our veterans now with all this building and things that are going on, the cooperation with Tyndall, between the city and Tyndall. You've got the Vietnam Memorial Wall coming in. You've got Veterans Park. What are you doing in November for veterans?
Well, on November 11th, we used to have a parade because of some issues with Cherry Street. Last year, we did a celebration at our sports complex where the wall is going to be, and people seem to enjoy that so much more that we've just decided that's what we're going to do for Veterans Day. So we'll have a celebration again like we did last year. We always I started the tradition of having what do you call the lead person in the parade? I can't think of the word I want right now. But selecting a veteran, that we honor, that he kind of represents all the veterans that we honor. So, we'll have a veteran that we honor to represent all of the veterans on Veterans Day. And then we'll probably have music, there'll be games, things for the kids to play, just, kind of a good time to come out.
All right. Good deal. We only got a couple of minutes to go. I mean, the time flies when you're having fun. But all of these things going on now with Callaway, we're so proud of that, the way everything's working out. About a minute and a half or so. What's your final thoughts on all this, Pam?
Oh, I'm just so proud of my city. I'm proud of the way that we have come back since the hurricane, because we had major issues. We had a lot of devastation from Hurricane Michael. So I'm so proud of the way the city has bounced back. I'm proud of the way the citizens have come together to help the city come back. And now, this is just so exciting, everything that's going on, and the wall that heals coming to Callaway. That's just the icing on the cake.
Great interview today. Thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. And, just keep up the good work. It's great to see the cooperation between the cities and our departments of the Air Force right now with Tyndall and any of the U.S. military facilities and that. Veterans Wall, the Veterans Park over there is amazing. So just keep expanding that and keep us posted, will you?
I definitely will.
And thanks for doing everything you are for our veterans.
Well, you're so welcome, and thank you for having me today. I've enjoyed it.
You're welcome. All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time again. It's that time again where we must say goodbye, but we'll have more for you over at our next interview next week. But just remember, the city of Callaway, they're here for the veterans. They work together with Tyndall right now. If you have any questions, talk to the city over there, talk to the people at Tyndall, and everything will work out. And don't forget, in November, they are hosting the Vietnam Memorial Wall that heals coming to town. So we're proud of that. And go visit Veterans Park. We all love our veterans, but how about let's showing ourselves and our family and our community how much we love them. Until next time, we want you to have a great day. I'm Jerry Tabatt for our military community. We'll see you later.